Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Insider Report. I'm your host, Kuhlekwethu Maseko, otherwise known as Kuhle. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've got great news for you. BEE is finally on sale. You know, that requirement to get those fancy golden contracts that many of our friends have been getting, i.e. the Hammanskraal water tankers, the hospitals, Tembisa Hospital, all those things, the requirement for it, i.e. being BEE, is officially on sale. We can now buy it. We are now able to compete with other tenderpreneurs. This is very exciting. But on a more serious note, the fact is BEE is officially going to be going on sale through what they call a 3% levy for automatic BEE status. Now, the interesting thing is this has been a year where we've seen the EEA having amendments to it, EEDs having amendments to it. This is like the second or third possible amendment in 1 year to the triple BEE policy that has been failing this country. Let's look at the foundation of BEE. After 2 decades of BEE, the same underlying problems persist. High unemployment, stagnant black entrepreneurship, elite enrichment, and negligible impact on the poor majority. Our townships still look the way they look. Instead of empowering black South Africans broadly, BEE has produced a small politically connected class of empowered leaders. The new idea is letting firms buy a BEE rating. Simply formalizes what has already been happening informally, which is those who have access to capital and connections can purchase compliance. In this view, the 3% levy proposal is not transformational. It's institutionalized rent seeking, dressed up as empowerment. So, personally, I see this transformation fund because remember, the idea is the 3% levy is going to be taxed on your profits or how much you make as revenue as your company for unlisted companies, meaning not on the JSE, right? So the idea is this money is going to go into a transformation fund, as a modern indulgence system. Companies pay to absorb themselves of guilt or state pressure, while government pockets the proceeds. BEE was supposed to change the structure of the economy, according to the great founders of it. This proposal changes nothing. Ownership, management, skills, and competitiveness remain untouched. Instead of rewarding merit or innovation, government proposes yet another compliance shortcut that punishes efficiency and rewards patronage. The result is firms spend more time, money, managing bureaucracy and less time growing the economy. Now, this is like carbon credits for ideology, a moral tax that achieves no real transformation. Though it is marketed as voluntary, a 3% levy on gross revenue is effectively a tax on success. For low-margin industries such as manufacturing, retail, logistics, 3% of revenue literally means wiping out entire profit margins. It will discourage expansion and investments, particularly in medium-sized private companies that create jobs. Large corporates can afford to absorb the cost or pass it to consumers, but small businesses will suffocate. In essence, it's a redistribution tax without representation enforced by bureaucratic coercion. Anti-BEE critics, such as myself, have been pointing this out for quite a while, especially with regards to South Africa's long history of fraud or fund mismanagement and corruption. Transformation funds Enterprise development schemes, SETAs, NYDAs, and employment vehicles have been riddled with graft. Without transparent oversight, the new fund could become another feeding trough for the politically connected, especially those in the ruling party, where factions compete for control. These centralizations of money in a transformation fund hands enormous patronage power to bureaucrats and politicians, not entrepreneurs. As one skeptic might put it, they call it empowerment, we call it collection. Allowing companies to buy a BEE rating destroys the moral and market logic of transformation. It tells firms, you don't need to change your ownership. You don't need to hire black professionals or source from black suppliers. Just pay us. Now, so that we are on the same page, I've never agreed with the black ownership part of BEE because I believe that this is basically giving your company off to someone for free, for who majority of the time black people don't even know who this person is that is getting the shares, the 30% share in your company for free. I believe that business should be open. It should be a case where we are all able to compete and work with those that we want to work with. Now, the idea of just saying pay us, that erodes the incentive to transform internally, therefore undermining even the moral foundation of this facade policy called BEE that has been failing this country. It also devalues genuine black entrepreneurs who built real enterprises without government handouts. Now they'll be competing with firms that bought status. In effect, this proposal commodifies morality. Transformation becomes a tradable good, not a social principle, even though it was flawed. For those fundamentally opposed to BEE, this is just another iteration of race-based social engineering. The proposal continues the belief that race, not merit or productivity, should determine opportunity and legitimacy in business. Critics argue that mindset traps black South Africans in dependency, reducing them to permanent beneficiaries instead of equal competitors. And you've heard me saying this over and over again, that the trick with BEE is it makes a black person seem as if you are a special case. That's why you're here. We don't see you as an equal. We are just doing this because, well, I mean, you were disadvantaged at a point in time. Now, the trick is policies such as BEE do a couple of dangerous things, such as they take a previous disadvantage and they make it the identity of black South Africans. That is it. They take a previous disadvantage and make it an identity of black South Africans. Government should rather, create a neutral environment of low taxes, strong property rights, and better education, not endless empowerment schemes or NYDA boards that don't even contribute to decreasing unemployment rates amongst young people, or a NSFAS that just hands out bursaries to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Real empowerment comes from removing barriers, not redistributing revenue through bureaucracy. So, ladies and gentlemen, these things lead to practical economic consequences. They just increase the cost of doing business, leading to higher prices and fewer jobs, drive investment offshore, especially for firms that can relocate operations to neighboring SADC states such as Botswana or Malawi with their new president, or Zambia with their amazing president H.H. Chichila. Undermine competitiveness, especially in export sectors where margins are thin and global competitors face no such levies. Reduce trust in government stability, further weakening investor confidence. the outcome is less growth, less employment, and less genuine empowerment. Finally, the proposal symbolically destroys what little moral credibility BEE still had. It concedes that transformation is not about inclusion or justice, but about monetizing guilt. It turns empowerment into a commodity and governance into a tool collector. It proves the point. BEE is not about building black enterprise. It's about buying compliance and selling access. When empowerment becomes an accounting exercise, it stops being empowerment. Real transformation would mean lowering barriers, fixing education, enforcing rule of law, and letting enterprise flourish regardless of race. Instead, government wants to monetize guilt, collect revenue, and call it progress. In short, this is state-sanctioned bribery with a moral label. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just another gimmick from our wonderful ANC government where they want to just sell. This links to what we call the patronage and power and the control of state, where we won't allow for anyone to have access to this market except for ourselves. That is what these goons are doing with such policies and such rules. So I'm not buying this. For me, this is a facade. This is just another ploy at trying to look lucrative and trying to seem as if, we are creating an environment where business can thrive. The bottom line is, so no amount of social engineering is going to change the economy. Look at countries such as Singapore, where just delete the idea of race and social injustice amongst ourselves, and boom, let us look forward to a vision and we shall thrive. There have been a number of black businesses that have thrived from not using BEE. Speaks to people that have been selling coffee on the side of robots. The list goes on. We don't need this patronage BEE tenderpreneur system that the ANC has created to only enrich elites and delete small SMMEs. My name has been Kuhle Maseko. Till next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps in growing the channel, as well as you can sign up for membership. It's as cheap as 20 Rand. Till next time, shalom, my good friends, and see you soon.
The event provided a platform for business owners to share their business journeys. Some have been in the game for many years and were able to provide counsel to others. What stood out from most speakers was the lack of support among each other in townships. The founder of Kuhle, cautioned against working in silos. He says this recent crisis surrounding township businesses is forcing them to look at better ways of being more organized.
It is a very difficult journey, to be quite honest, but the people on the ground, they seeking solutions. They do have ideas, which also give ideas to Kuhle. So we're excited about that. It's not one way. They have solutions, and we're taking that into consideration. They make our work easy because already they know that they need to work in packs. We always say, and with Kuhle as a network, that the time of operating in silos is gone. So these business people, they understand that it cannot be business as usual. They need to be part of a network like Kuhle or other networks that are out there, so that they understand the value of working together. Bulk buying is one of the key issues that business people at this level talk about. But we also realize that it's more than just bulk buying. There are also a whole lot of things that we need to do. That's why we have the CETA here. They have some of their most amazing programs that need to reach the ground when we talk about skills development, skills transfer. And this is just not training for the sake of it. It's relevant for retailers.
Jabu Malungane, the founder of Jabu Acha, who has been in the business of manufacturing and supplying acha, says protecting their communities should be the main priority of business owners as they seek to get into business.
We are very much ignorant. Small businesses have to know more about their own businesses, you understand? Because we're very much ignorant. We don't study our businesses. We just know that we have to make money. But it's not about making money. It's about you protecting your own community. Like, for example, with me, with Acha, I make sure I do the right product because it's my community who's going to eat that. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm doing everything that I'm doing for the community. If we understand as business that it's not only for money, but it's for our community, it's for our people, it's the next generation, it's our legacy that we're building. So I think that will be more important for every entrepreneur.
Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.